Okay, I've added the tail sections, the skins. Top one just sits on top, whereas the bottom ICM's done it. That's its natural seam line join. Top, however, I don't think is, and where it joins and taking care of it, I'm removing that line totally, so you can see this side is the line. There's a bit of a gap there. It's a bit gnarly looking. It's not, well, I don't think you can leave it like that. So it's a process because I don't want to remove all these raised rivets. I've lost a couple here and there, which is no biggie, I can replace them. So I'm using a bit of super glue, CA glue, and I got homemade tool. It's a bit of wire. I dip it in the glue and I'm just running it along the seam line. I've done the super glue on this side, and then I'm removing it with bits of sandpaper folded over, and I'm just coming in, just trying to keep it in that area. Like I said, I've removed a couple here and there of the rivets, so I've done this section, so I've still got the rest of the tail to go. And then when that's done, I'll use a punch and die rivet set from RP Tools, and I'll probably use, it'll have to be the smallest one in the set is 0.5, and replace, hopefully it won't be many, but you can't just leave it the way it is. So you might be able to, there's a couple of panel lines as well along the way, just rescribe them in as well, but it's very fiddly and time consuming, but it has to be done. I fixed up these seam lines. It's a lot of work and a lot of time because it's so hard to get at, and I've replaced the all these rivets on the rounded edge where the curve is. Yeah, so the way it's engineered there is not real great. So I've done that. Now I'm going to start the cockpit, and already I've come to just doing the foot pedals, and they've got great big ejection pin marks right in the middle. So now I'm going to have to take care of them, and it's in an awkward spot again, so it'll be with some, I'm going to put CA glue in it and then sand it out with a small piece of sandpaper or sponge again, so that'll take a while as well. So I started putting this bulkhead on. There's one underneath. Another issue I found already, this piece is supposed to be flush with that. It doesn't sit right, and it's incorrectly. There's a lip that sits underneath there, sits on that piece, and that lines up with the bottom flat and flush. So there's a alignment issue there. I'm going to have to sand out. Another thing I don't understand why they've done it. So the two controllers, one of them's moulded as one piece, one's moulded as three pieces. So they are a bit different in shape, but you could mould that in one piece. And this one, it's got big sink marks. I'm not worried about that side. This one had like a hole going through it, so I'm gonna, you can see I got super glue on it, so I've got to sand it up and do that. So not real impressed so far with the cockpit. Okay, so I'm getting components together for the interior, the cockpit, and the crew section and the winch control section. I've come across another error, maybe. Let's look here in the instructions. This controller box for the winch operator goes on this post. Now in the diagram there's a big gap from the edge, the outer edge of the controller box to the outer edge of the cabin, but it goes all the way across. Now this, I think, well, I'm not sure yet, but it may cause a problem fitting the exterior skin of the fuselage. It might foul on that section, so I might have to sand that down. I've tried dry fitting that, but I don't know the exact positive fit with just those two parts, because there's other sections that need to be glued on before it all fits in, and I don't want to do that yet because I want to paint it separate for ease. So yeah, I might have to do something with that. I've got the seats together, so they're the cockpit crew seats, and that's the winch operator seat. Looks like a toilet. I'm going to add just scratch built harnesses. Ideally, I think aftermarket would be a lot better, because you'll see in all right. But the reason I'm doing scratch is because hopefully, if the build turns out good, I want to enter this in my local comp later in the year, and I want to enter it in single media category, which means no, there's no photo etch in the kit, or it's just plastic. So I want to keep it that way. So that's why I'll just do the scratch. Primed up all the parts for the interior that I've prepared. I was just showing you that's the main larger section. Everything else is on bamboo sticks and alligator grips. So I've used the AK microfiller, primer and microfiller. I've mentioned before that in the years I've been modelling, this is the best for me that I've come across so far. It's lacquer. I don't get along with acrylics, which I've mentioned before as well, due to my climate. Interior colour, okay. ICM, they've called out for sky grey in their brand, and there's no matches in Revell and Tamiya, but I'm a bit sus on their colour call outs in general, and I'm going to use, I looked up online, I found a reference, it's like a government reference for American aircraft from World War II up to modern, colours used on aircraft, and Vietnam era was dark gold grey in the interior. Now, of course, this may not be 100% accurate, but it is a lighter grey, so it's in the ballpark and it's good enough for me.